Hey all, this is R. Jagadish. I mentor software testing in Careerpedia. So today I'm here because I want to give an overview of the testing chapters that you are going to cover in your 3 months of course period. So of course we are going to start with the manual testing first, then we are going to jump into automation, then we will learn basics of API testing also. So I will give an overview of these three chapters, what you're going to cover and what you're going to learn from these three topics. So the first chapter in our software testing course is manual testing. So we're going to start with the manual testing chapter first. That is your first course. Here you're going to learn the core concepts of your testing. I'm not talking about the manual testing or automation testing on your web application. I'm talking about the basic, the roots of the testing. What is actually testing means, what we are going to achieve by using testing, and what are the phases are there in testing, what are the models, methodologies we are going to use in our web application or in our project. Then we're going to jump into testing types like functional testing, non-functional testing. In functional testing, we have many types, but what is the use of those things when we have to apply those? For example, let's go to one of the application like Careerpedia. Let's assume that this is my project. Okay, this is a fresh project, totally fresh one. We got the requirement from the client. The developers has developed this one and that has been passed to the testers. Now we have to start with one kind of testing type. So what is that? So according to the first phase of testing should be a smoke testing. So smoke testing is nothing but we are going to test only the important functionalities which are provided by the client. So we are going to focus on that one first, then we have to go to the next phase of testing. So in this way, there are many kinds of testing which are useful for you to understand the application better and get the defects more and more quite easily, quite efficiently by using these types of testing. So you're going to learn that practically and theoretically for both parts. And then you have to you're going to learn this non-functional testing. Those are performance, security, the basics of those things, because those are also very key parts for your web application: the security, performance, load testing, stress testing. And then you have to learn the bug life cycle. Then you're going to learn writing or finding out test scenarios on your own and writing test cases from those test scenarios, and you have to find the bugs from that one which are passed, which are failed, and you're going to form a documentation called RTM, requirement traceability matrix, and you have to map all these scenarios and test cases also. So this is how we are going to focus or on our manual testing process. So first you are going to learn the core concepts, then you will jump into manual testing. Then you'll practically work on the project which we are going to assign to you. Then next you have to remember 2 points here. As a tester, not the manual automation, as a tester, you have to think like an end user, as an end client, and every time you have to remember the client important requirements, what he or she is saying, what they have noted it down, what is the functional requirements. Based on that one, you have to test your application. If you think like that, you'll get more and more scenarios and more defects from your application, and you can produce a quality output, quality product to your client or to the public. So this is how you need to perform the manual testing. Okay, and this is the courses, this is the topics you're going to cover in your manual testing, guys. So apart from having technical knowledge on automation, manual in and even API testing, the testers need to enhance their skills in some other departments, and those are communications, analytical, and problem solving skills. So these skills will play a very important role for you to get better packages or better positions as a lead manager or even higher positions. And even if you want to crack any jobs in reputational companies, these are very, very important for testers. But I will tell you why these are very, very important. Let's think that you have found most complex bug in application and you have posted that to developer. But the developer does not understand the bug. Then in that case, the tester need to explain clearly about the bug in a manner that the developer should able to fix the bug as early as possible without asking a single second question or any more questions. So in that way, you have to explain the bug to the developers. So good communications can help to build trust and understanding between employees, the customers, and the clients also, and can lead to a improved cooperation and productivity. So that's why communication is very important for the testers to improve the productivity of the company and the cooperation between your developers, managers, leads, anyone in the team. So the second one, the analytical skills. Those are the ability to collect, process, and interpret data and information logically and systematically. They help you to understand the problem domain, identify the test objectives and scope. So analytical skills are implemented before going into testing part. Before testing the application, the testers need to analyze and come up with the objectives and the scope, design effectiveness, effective test cases. So what you're going to do when you're starting the test. Before that, you have to plan, right? That is where the analytical part comes from. The same goes for problem solving skills. So testers are the only people who need to understand the complete application end to end and test multiple times, right? The same module you have to test multiple times. So they will have this in and out knowledge of the application, and that is the reason the tester should be able to analyze the problems and come up with effective solutions of that problems. So they should be able to think creatively and outside the box most of the time. That is also part of the tester's job. You have to think out of the box and you have to come up with effective solutions. So it should not raise again in the next build or in next production. So and these three skills you are going to learn along with your technical skills in your 3 months of course period. So our next chapter is agile methodology. So why agile methodology is very important to learn, why it should be included in your testing course. So I'll tell you why it is important. So agile methodology is the most famous and followed model in building any kind of projects from starting to end, and it is one of the most prominently used project management systems. So, whether it can be e commerce, banking, hospitals, or any other domains, companies are implementing agile methodology for providing quality product to end clients. So, what is the main goal for any companies? To build the project and provide quality product to the end clients. That is our main motto, main goal for the companies. The same goes for the testers part also. The testers goal is to provide a 99% quality product, I mean, or we can say bug free product. Then only we can say the quality product, right? If it is a bug free and whatever the client wanted, that has to be implemented in the product, then only we can say that we have reached the client expectations and we have provided the quality product. So for better understanding purpose, I'll give you a small example for you. Let's take any website. Let's take Careerpedia. So the client gave me requirements. I need to develop the this project and provide the product to the client. So now I'm going to implement the other methodologies like a waterfall V model. What happens there is these models will focus is on building the entire product in one iteration from start to finish, which can lead to providing a bad quality product. I will tell you why. So we will gather requirements from the client on the first level. There will be no other levels in these methodologies. That is the main problem. So they will start the first iteration, only one iteration. They'll take the client requirements and they will start developing, testing, and deploying the process. Everything is happening only within the one iteration. So what happens is, what if the client want to add new requirements or any new changes, or he doesn't want to build the product, he want to again start fresh. So what happens here is we are not uh, regularly interacting with the clients. So we don't know what need to be included, what feedback we need to get from the clients, everything. So we are just focusing on those one first requirements and developing the project. That leads to a bad quality product or dissatisfaction from the client side. So that is where this agile methodology comes into handy for today's organizations or companies. So agile methodology emphasizes on delivering several iterations of a product. So we are going to use several iterations, not single one. So it helps in providing high value to the stakeholders in less time because it relies on incremental developments, and each iteration consists of 2 to 4 week sprints, and regular meetings will be held with clients for each module developments to get the feedback from the clients. So this project will be divided into certain sprints or certain module blocks, and on those blocks we will pick the major blocks and we'll start developing, testing, everything is done. But we are not going to deploy that one. We are going to take the review or feedback from the client for every iteration, and we are going to implement that one into our next sprints. That is what happening in agile methodology. That is why we use agile methodology more often for building better quality products. So that is why we are going to include this agile in your course. So you're going to practically test the application by implementing agile methodology. So once you're done with your manual testing topics, that is a theoretical part, you will be assigned into a real-time projects where you have to work on manual testing by using a real-time scenarios. So if we think that you are good in manual testing after the completion of this real-time project, the practical project, one, you can apply for any manual testing jobs in any one of the portals that you have, like Naukri, anything, where you can get around 2 to 2.5 LPA in level 3 companies. Second, if you want to get better packages or higher salaries, you have to learn automation testing. But before that, learning automation testing, you have to learn any one of the programming languages. So that is why we have included Core Java in our course, where you have to learn all Core Java topics. We have included every Core Java topics, including OOPS concepts, even advanced topics like multi-threading, collections also, which we'll be using in your automation scripts. So the Core Java has been around for a very long time, guys. So a wide variety of easily available frameworks, plugins, APIs, and libraries, which will support us to write automation scripts by using the Java language. So without having any kind of language in Core Java or any one of the programming languages, you can't do any automation testing on the web application. So the Core Java or Python, any languages is very, very important to perform automation testing. So like I said, we are going to teach you all core topics, including the OOPS concepts and some advanced topics, both theoretically and practically. First, you'll learn theoretical and you'll have the assessments on that one. Then you're going to implement practical things in your Eclipse tool. That is what we're going to use for automation testing, the Eclipse tool, which is the open source. So this is what happens in Core Java. So once you're done with your Core Java topics, both theoretically and practically, you have to start harnessing your skills in your test automation Selenium. So what is this test automation Selenium? What is the use of that one? And what is the major difference between the automation testing and manual testing? So test automation is like a helpful assistant for checking your websites or web applications. So it's like a computer program that can mimic what a person does exactly on the web application. Like for example, you have to click on the button or you have to enter some text. It will do exact same thing, and but in a quicker manner. It will save lot of time, and it will find bugs more efficiently in a more quick manner than you does in manual testing. So how does it happen? So I'll show you one example for that. Small example, let's take Careerpedia project or the website. Here, my test case is to validate the first name, which is present in this enroll now page. Okay, full name. So I have to enter alphabets and I have to enter expression. I have to see whether this can accept the expressions, numbers, and alphabets or not. So according to the client requirements, it should accept only the alphabets, not the expressions or numbers, not the combination of everything. So I should test whether it is matching the client expectations or not. What that is what the client want. The end of the day, the company wants from you that you have to test according to the client expectations. So I have to check everything by entering alphabets, names, everything, right? So usually for one field, it takes like maybe minutes of time. You have to test like end-to-end process for email address, phone number, everything should be tested. It takes a lot of time, right? To save that time and to compress that time into a split seconds or seconds, we are going to use this automation testing. Okay, for that we have to just simply write the code. There are some libraries, um, Java files that we have to use in your Selenium, already predefined libraries, which is quite easy to use. If you understand Java, it is quite easy to use for you. So you have to just write the code and you have to run that one. So it will just do exact what you have done in your manual testing in a more quicker way or faster way. So see, it's clicking on enroll now, it's entering everything, and that's it. And you're going to see how many passes, how many failures, each and every test cases along with their validations. So in this automation testing, you are going to learn how to start writing the code and how to end with the frameworks integration, everything by end of your course. So this is Selenium automation testing. So once after you completed your test automation core topics, the basic topics, you have to at least get an idea on how to write a linear code by using this Selenium. So once you're done with that, you have to start implementing the frameworks on that linear code, because this framework will help our linear code to give a structure, complete structure, and organize everything, give more efficiency, reusability also, maintainability, scalability to our linear code or testing code that you have written. So there are multiple frameworks right now which are available in the websites, which give some enhancements by using some of these frameworks, like I mentioned before also, like reusability, uh, structures, efficiency, everything. In the same way, the most happening one right now is TestNG framework. So certainly, TestNG framework is like a friendly organizer for testing your computer programs. So it helps you to group your tests together, run them in a neat order, and tells you if anything goes wrong also. It's a bit like a traffic cop that keeps everything running smoothly and let you know if there is a problem occurred on the road. That is how TestNG helps us for running our test cases. This makes testing your software quite easier and more efficient. So by using this TestNG framework, you can achieve the structural programming from the linear code and organizing in a neat manner by dividing each and every line into your test cases, and you can achieve this maintainability also. So I'll show you the code. So for example, this is what linear code looks like. Everything is line by line. Yes, this code it perfectly works, but it is not structural. There is no formation for this one. It's just a mess. Everything is everywhere. Nothing is organized. If I want to check whether which test case has been passed, so I can't find out from here, right? So everything is placed into a certain linear code. So that's why we have to implement these frameworks. And the first one is TestNG framework. By using this, we can convert this code into this code where you have to divide each and every test cases, where you have multiple validations. And by using this TestNG, you can generate the reports also for each and every test case. Like I have shown you before, for a full name field, you have multiple validations. So you have to write multiple test cases for that one. So TestNG will help you in writing the code, the linear code, and give a beautiful formation for that one in an organized manner and more efficiency also, which is good to the client eyes or your eyes. Maybe it will be good for your companies also, and it will help you in collaborations easily. So if you want to explain to your colleagues, everyone, you can easily explain this one, or they can understand by checking this code also. uh, so this is how we need to implement our TestNG framework. So by implementation of this TestNG framework into our linear code, we are achieving like structuring, organization, and even efficiency also. But what about the rest of the missing patterns here, such as reusability, where we have to reuse the code components to reduce duplications and efforts? And what about this maintainability, where it simplifies the updates and changes to a test as the application evolves every day, each and every day? And what about this collaboration? To include all of these patterns into our present framework, that is TestNG framework with Maven project, we have to use the framework called POM and Pagefactory. So POM is nothing but page object models. So what is that? In a simple manner, I'll say the POM helps keep your code organized like sorting different pieces of your web pages. Whereas the page factory builds the object that helps you to interact with the different parts of your web pages. So for example, let's take this Careerpedia again. So in this, we have to divide this whole project into certain web pages or certain pieces. For example, I want to make a piece of this Careerpedia page. Then I want to make a piece of this courses and enroll now page. So I want to break this one into parts and divide that into page objects. So I'll show you the code here. Like example, this is a linear code. Before I have written the linear code 2, everything is linearly mentioned here. Then I took this linear code and divided into certain page objects, that is called web pages or pieces of these web pages. Like in this, you can see here there is a Careerpedia web app page objects. So in this, I have a enroll now page, landing page. So I have divided those into parts, and in that one, the page factory, this is called page factory. With the help of that, I am going to invoke these objects. I am going to build the objects that helps you to interact with the different parts of your web pages. So this will help us to do the actions on this web page. So and this is called abstract methods, where we have to use this reusability code, and we can see the maintainability, reusability, and by using and the collaboration of everything together into one single class. By using these different kind of web classes or web pages, we can achieve these all patterns into our framework. And along with this framework, POM and Page Factory, we have included two more frameworks. Those are called keyword driven and data driven, which will be included, which will be the part of this POM and Page Factory. And you're going to learn that one also, both theoretically and practically. So this is what we have included in this framework. So we have one more framework here, which is also called as a non-technical framework. Why I'm calling it is non-technical framework? Because the person who doesn't have any knowledge on programming also can understand the tests which were written in that framework, and that is called BDD Framework. And in that, we are going to use a framework called Cucumber. So instead of writing just a technical code, BDD helps you to write tests in a human-friendly way, almost like a conversation. You use simple language to describe what the software should do step by step, just like explaining a story. This makes it easier for everyone, even a non-technical folks, like I said before, to understand what the tests are doing. But there is a catch here. The writing BDD code in a non-technical format without using any Java or any other languages can have major disadvantages, such as complexity. The BDD framework can introduce the additional complexity, especially for teams unfamiliar with the concepts of features, file scenarios. Those are terminologies which we are going to use in our BDD framework. Who doesn't understand that, they may feel complex while seeing the code. And the maintenance, the maintaining the feature files, scenarios, and step definitions, because here we can't maintain like a page objects or page factory or any other files, because there is no programming language included in this one. Because of that one, the code is getting increased day by day, and there is no reusability part, no efficiency, and no structural format for this BDD framework. And that is one more disadvantage. And when the performance can also reduce, drastically reduce to below like 20%. So BDD framework might introduce some performance overhead due to translation of natural language into executable code. This can impact the speed of test execution, and we have many more also. I'll explain you in detailed manner once you start your courses. So this is the reason we are going to learn basics of BDD framework, but we are integrating these basics into TestNG framework. So we are not going to use this BDD framework alone by writing simple language statements. No, we are going to include these basics of BDD framework, Cucumber, into our TestNG framework, and we are going to implement all the patterns, like I said before, efficiency and structural formats, reusability. We are going to achieve everything by using this BDD framework. But if you want to use only BDD framework, then you have to use this one only on small projects, not the big ones. So this will be not applicable for that one, which will lead to like complexity, performance issues, and maintenance also. So this is how we are going to include this BDD framework, by including that one into our TestNG framework. So we are getting into our last chapter of this testing course, and the last chapter is API testing. So what is that? What is API testing? So API is nothing but application programming interface. It is a mediator which is helps to get the data and to pass the data into the database. So as per definition goes, it is a set of rules and protocols that allows different software applications to communicate and interact with each other. Okay, it defines how different software components should interact, what data they can exchange, and what operations they can perform. So as you can see, there are totally three different layers in the programming, or in the application, web application, I can say. The first one is application layer. So for example, let's see this Careerpedia. It is the application layer which is shown to the end users, like to the people which are using the website. So this part we can see, right? So this is called application layer, and there is a one more layer that is called middle layer, and there we have this APIs. And third layer is called backend layer, and there we have this database where we can store the data, get the data. In the same way, if you want to get the data or store the data into the database, there is a middle layer called, like I said before, that is called API layer, right? That helps the front end and back end to interact with each other. So for example, let's go to courses and enroll now. In this one, I have to post the data. I have to send the full name, email address, and post that one too. So this data will get stored into my database, which is a backend layer. But the posting of this data will be helped by the API interface. So like I said before, it acts as an interface. So that is why it is called as application programming interface, which acts as a mediator to get the data and post the data from the database to front end, and from the front end to the backend layer, that is database layer. So this is how the API works. So we are going to test, as the testers, we are going to test whether these responses we are getting perfectly all right or not from the database, or the request we are posting is getting posted into or is getting inserted into database or not. That is what we are going to do testing here. But API testing is performed before the UI testing, that is front end part of the testing. So before integrating APIs into our application, we have to test that one. In that manner, majorly 70 to 80% of the bugs can be reduced in the first level itself if you do any kind of API testing before integration of that into our application. That is why API testing is very important in reducing the bugs in our application and produce a quality product. So that is why we have included the basic concepts of the API into this course. So here we are going to teach, like I said before, the basics, and we're going to use a tool called Postman for performing this API testing manually. I hope you understand the overview of the topics that I have covered, which you are going to learn in your software testing course. And along with that, you will have these communication classes every day on a regular basis in the evening hours. And along with that, when you have these practical examinations or assessments, we can call, every week on the topics that you have covered. And you are going to be practically participated in the real-time projects after the completion of each and every chapter. Like for example, if you complete manual testing, you're going to be get participate in real-time projects to learn better understanding on how real-time projects can be handled in the real companies. And I hope at the end of the day, after learning all these topics, you'll be a more better person in understanding the software testing. And I'm pretty sure that you'll crack the job with a better salaries and a better position after getting out from this course. Thank you.